So we are going to get started. Everyone's here. Thank you for joining. A little bit about what we're going to talk about today. We're going to talk about some systems, strategies, and solutions for selling smart during COVID-19. So some of the things we're going to talk about today is an entirely digital process. It offers 3D virtual showing tours so you can practice social distancing. The other thing is improvements that will add thousands to your selling price. And then how to successfully sell fast and for top dollar with the least amount of stress. So a little bit about who I am and my background. Samantha, do you want to?
Sure. I'll just give a quick summary. I'm Brett's assistant, Samantha, so I'm just his co-host to make sure everything runs smoothly today. I've been with Brett for 3.5 years, and I'm excited that we're heading into this webinar, workshop that anyone could join us from anywhere. Brett has just celebrated his 34th year in the industry, so that's a very exciting milestone. He is a broker owner of Remax Classic, and he has lots of designations. I can explain those acronyms if anyone wants to send me a chat. But he likes to study and stay ahead of the curve, and he likes to make sure he can educate the community. He has tons of awards. He's usually in the top 10 out of the 3,000 local agents just in our area, which is not easy to do. He also has lots of interviews, and he has done some teaching at local colleges. But some exciting ones to mention are Kerry Lutz on the Financial Survival Network. That was, he's been interviewed twice there. He's been in the Philadelphia Inquirer on the front page of the real estate section. And he's been in the Philadelphia Business Journal a lot recently, mostly about the 3D stats and his predictions. Just very excited to get this started.
So a couple of announcements for you. If you stay on for the presentation at the end, there's going to be a special gift available for those joining our webinar today. I also did a webinar recently that was the State of the Market address. You've heard of the State of the Union. You could check it on our YouTube channel. It has lots of predictions about what's going to happen post-pandemic. Very interesting. It was a real deep dive. It's a great webinar if you want to listen to that. We also have another guest we're going to be interviewing on Thursday. We have someone joining our studio from the Matterport company. We'll be talking about that today as well. So let's get started. So our goal, as Samantha said, is to educate our community as your trusted advisors, and we try to give you the latest and greatest knowledge. What's been happening lately is we've been getting lots of questions from people, and what people are asking me, number one, is, does it make sense to sell right now? That's kind of the first thing, especially during a pandemic. And if so, how can you do it? Okay, that's the first one. Let me jump into that one and try to give you a little bit of a sense of where we've been and where we're headed. So pre-pandemic, before everything started, inventory was very, very low. Interest rates were low. They've dropped about 1.25% below the rates of the prior year. And then finally, the inventory is starting to we're watching the shadow inventory rise. What I mean by that are people that were ready to sell come this time of the year and they've pulled back. So there's shadow inventory. We have listings that are ready to go. Some people just decided that they didn't want to sell right now. So we think you're going to see a lot more of that inventory come on the market. Then we have unemployment, watching it rise. Right now we're somewhere, I've seen all different numbers floating around, but let's just say, for argument's sake, we're maybe 13%, and I've seen projections that we were going to go much higher than that. One of the good news about this market we're in and the market that I service and cover is that I consider this the blue chip marketplace. What I mean by that is when we had recessions in prior years, if you look back to 2005, when the market was peaked up to the high level, and then call it 2007, 8, it started to level off. What our market experienced, this blue chip market experience, was a very slight decline in value where areas like, let's say, Naples, Florida was peaking up and doing like 40% appreciation. When 2008 came around, that market went down like a steep slope. So we're very, very fortunate to be in this blue chip area. It's also controlled by schools. We have some of the best schools in the country. So that absolutely helps the market in times of decline. Also, our market is not homogeneous. What I mean by that is we have a very diverse diverse group of housing. Everything's different, okay? There are not a lot of cookie cutter neighborhoods and subdivisions. And finally, the market is very diverse economically. So we're not dependent on any given industry, so we can withstand all kinds of challenges, especially the challenges we're in now. What my prediction is, and if you listen to the market update that I talked about earlier, we believe that we're going to see inventory right now is very, very low. So the absorption numbers, the number of days it takes the market to absorb inventory is low, at the lowest levels I've seen in my 34-year career. So pre-pandemic, we sold through a lot of inventory. What we think is going to happen is over time, it's going to take some time, but that market's going to start to shift from probably a seller's market to a buyer's market where things would take longer to sell. So what we believe is today might be a better time. An offer today might be worth than an offer than tomorrow is. And finally, the other question people are asking me is what happens to real estate now? So a whole bunch of factors here. We see the iBuyers, these instant buyer companies like Redfin and Zillow and Knock and Opendoor. We're watching all those companies have stopped. What they were doing is instantly buying consumers' homes, and that market comprised about 10% of the entire United States sale transactions. So that complete market has stopped. They've said they've stopped. By the way, there was a great article in the Wall Street Journal today, if you want to see it. It's called Gold Rush Dries Up for New Band of Home Prospectors. I did a post already on Facebook this morning with some of my thoughts. If you care to check it out and read the article, it talks specifically about what I'm talking about, the iBuyer market. Next, we have we have the Airbnb population. So that database is people that are looking to rent properties for a short period of time, wondering how that's going to affect everyone in this market. The answer is nationally, you're going to see a lot of these Airbnb properties that are vacant come and hit the market. So you're going to see nationally that's going to happen. The good news is in the blue chip markets, we don't have to deal with the iBuyers are not here, and the Airbnb is not here in a large capacity. Maybe a couple of areas. Other things that we see about real estate is we're going to watch agent population decrease. We're starting to see that already in a lot of these salary interrupter model real estate companies that have come on the marketplace. They're all cutting back, and you're going to watch a lot of them disappear post-pandemic. And finally, what happens to real estate now is life events continue. No matter what is happening, people still need to buy. People are still retiring. People are still going to senior centers. People are still expanding families. People have job changes. Things still need to happen. So we think that there's still a good opportunity of selling property. And the final question I'm getting asked almost every day, does virtual home selling really work? And all I can say to that is in the past week, we had 2 sales that were sold virtually. What I mean by that is the buyers were not allowed to physically come inside the home. But today, when I walk you through this presentation, you'll start to understand what virtual home selling is about and how it works. But again, is it for everyone? No, it's not. There are people that still want to touch, feel, smell, but we're able to structure an agreement of sale that's contingent upon a physical inspection. Once the governor lifts our ability to do our job, then we will be able to bring people inside and to look. So the agreement's contingent upon that inspection. Okay, so those are the big 3 questions. Now we're going to jump into the presentation about changing your mindset. So some of you on this call might be at the stage where you're thinking about selling. Maybe you're 5 years away, 10 years away. Hard to say, but the idea is changing your mindset. Our clients that grasp this, they do the best. And that means changing your home from a home to an asset. And what I mean is taking away the emotional distance of your home and changing the showing conditions to appeal to the resale market. So that we mean about taking away the pictures when the children were in kindergarten and first grade and third grade and elementary school, and then they're at the prom, and then they're driving, and then they're in college, all those pictures, because the buyers, we want them to focus on your home, not about on your stuff, okay? And the next point we talk about is the preparation. How far in advance should you prepare? Is it a week? Is it a month? Is it 6 months? We believe in 12 months, and you're going to hear today why when we walk you through what we're talking about. And then when should you have an agent visit? So right now, the visits we're able to do are all on FaceTime, Skype, and Zoom. So that's how we're doing things with our clients now. And again, we believe in preparing at least, you can call an agent a week ahead of time when you're ready to sell, but there's a lot of steps that have to be put into place so that when your home hits the market, it's fully energized and you get the benefit of all those steps. So we talk about how do you do all this stuff in advance? How do you get your home ready? How do you turn it from your house, from your home to a house? How do you do that? So one of the ways is you might need some work done to your house. Maybe you need it painted. Maybe the carpet needs to be changed. We talked about bringing the agent in well in advance of when you're ready to put it on the market. And we have this home concierge to help our clients. Anyone that's on this call today, you have access to our home concierge anytime you need it. It is a no-cost service we offer, and it's designed to match you with the right contractor, with handymen. We have electricians, we have home inspectors, landscapers, carpet people, deck people, whatever you need. And I'll explain to you later today is how they're vetted, how we know these people do a good job, and that you'll hear in one of the next screens. So I'm just going to pick one category, painters. We probably have, 20, maybe 30 painters in that category, and it depends on what you want. Do you need a painter that can paint your house quickly? Do you need a painter that can do an authentic restoration of your home? Do you need someone to do it inexpensively? So we have all different people in that category. You would just fill out on our website, we have a section for the concierge. You fill out a form, and the more information you tell us, it'll help us to properly match the vendor, the contractor with the client. So information's key. More you tell us, it will help match you up to the right person. So I'm going to move into the presentation to a little bit further. We're kind of starting, and I'm sequencing you through the process. And now we're further along, and we're thinking, maybe we are going to be selling our home and we do want to sell it. One of the things we recommend is a pre-sale home inspection. This is probably the single most important step in the entire process. And the idea of this is that we do a home inspection before you sell the home. The old-fashioned way is you would sell your home and you would agree to a price and you would agree to terms, and then the buyer would come in and do a post-sale home inspection. And the home you thought you sold for $500,000 suddenly might be $475,000 when the buyer's home inspector finds 25 things or $20,000 worth of things that need to be done. So we believe you could save thousands of dollars. It helps you reduce stress. I think it's the most important in the entire process. When we originally talked about starting a year in advance or 6 months in advance, this is one of the reasons why we like to do this in advance. So the way it works is before you sell, you would get a home inspection done. And that home inspection is very similar to one you would do if you sold a home. They come in, look at your roof, they look at your electric, the plumbing, they're going to look at your grading, they're going to look at your appliances, they're looking at everything. And they're going to create a list of things that might be defects. And then, because remember we said you start well in advance, you have the opportunity of fixing things and getting estimates on your time frame. So if you wait to the end of the process and wait for the buyer to do it, and you've sold your house and you're under contract, you don't have time to get estimates, to get things done inexpensively, to strategize and figure out the best way. So by doing it this way, you eliminate all that stress, okay? You eliminate surprise problems and the back-end negotiations. What I mean by that is when the buyer comes in and says they want to retrade your price because they found that name the item, your grading is off in the yard, and they don't like that because it's making your basement have water in it. So they're going to ask for a credit. They're going to want money. The other huge benefit is it's a security blanket for the buyer. It helps increase their confidence level. And the most critical part of this process is right down here where I have my cursor, a little pointer on. It says contract language. By that, we mean we ask the buyer before they make the offer, we give them the pre-sale home inspection, and then we tell their agent that we want the agent to exclude the defects identified on the pre-sale home inspection report performed by ASHI Home Inspector Y. So the idea is we're taking off the table all the things we know about it. So let's assume that you get this pre-sale home inspection and the home inspector finds 25 things wrong. You might want to fix 10 of them, 5 of them. What we found is it's not a great idea to fix everything because it would not be credible to give a buyer an inspection report that was perfect. But this language is how we give the report. There's still remaining things on the inspection report, but we ask the buyer not to renegotiate those items. But if you find something new, that's okay. So for today, this is probably our most difficult part of the presentation because it's a very involved step. I could probably spend a day discussing this. It's a very compressed time frame. If you have questions, and Samantha, you can stop me if you think something's relative. Please use your chat and your Q&A and tell us what your questions are. And at the end, we're also going to be taking questions too. If anybody has some, we'll be happy to address them. And then I'm taking you a little step further and I'm saying, remember how we were thinking maybe we were going to sell and then we decided, yeah, I think we're going to sell. We're going to do the inspection. Now you have a decision to make. You can sell your home on your own or you can hire a real estate company. For the purposes of today's presentation, we're going to sign a day-to-day contract. We're going to go and hire a real estate company, a broker, to sell your home. And then you're going to have to enter into what's called a listing agreement. And some agents will lock you to a very long agreement, up to a year, because that's what Pennsylvania allows by law. But here's the problem. The problem is you might experience some of these items where the agent fails to return calls or they don't give you feedback, or you're not on the internet right here, or maybe there's no 3D tour, or there isn't a direct mail program, or there's just, no marketing or at all, okay? So what we do differently is we offer what's called an easy exit agreement. And that means the door is always open and you can at any time walk right out of your contract with 2 weeks advance written notice for any reason unless you're under an agreement or if you're actively negotiating. So you can see the difference. The way we work is a lot different than the way everyone else works. And the idea is it forces us to perform at a very high level. So that's called our easy exit listing agreement. And again, we're just talking, assuming that you decided you were going to sell your home and then you did a pre-sale home inspection. Maybe you used our concierge to fix some items from the inspection, like maybe you had a grading issue or an electrical problem or something, and now you have to decide if you're going to settle on your own or hire a real estate company. So here we're saying you're going with a real estate company and you're going to enter into a listing agreement. And now we're at the best part. This is what I thrive on. This is the marketing. And we're going to cover that and just explain what happens once your house does go live if you decide you are going to sell it and hire a real estate company. So the first thing we do is still image photography. And this is a picture of one of our properties. And you can see that this picture is actually altered. And we do disclose that to the market to let people know. And we do it purposely because the first picture we want to stand out and really look like it jumps off the page. So you can see it has some sunburst here. The windows are illuminated. We artificially light the outdoor lights. So that's just what we do to the outside. Inside's a whole nother story, and we'll cover that. The other thing we do is this drone. This is a little picture of one. You can see it's got a camera mounted on the bottom. It's got a couple propeller blades. And the idea is the drone goes up high and looks down over the property, and it shows you what's the yard look like, what are the neighbors, how close is it to other homes. So we do it for that purpose. The other purpose we do the drone is what we found is when you set something high up on like a platform, it makes it look more expensive. So people have a better feeling about the property because they're getting a perspective that's higher than typical. We also do it because sometimes we have trees that impact our shot of our front and we need to get certain pictures of the property. We do need to get, our drone operator does get permission. He has to check with the FAA. There's a whole a sequence we follow to make sure we're allowed to do it, because certain areas we might not be allowed to, depending upon how close you are to an airport or a private airport, because we've had that experience in the past, and that's not fun. The next is the copy. And this is if you notice, this is a female who's doing the copy, and that's because the decision maker of most home purchases is done by the female. The male typically does not decide. So I used to write commentary, but now Samantha writes commentary for me because it's a different perspective. We still edit. We have a whole funnel and a whole process we go when we have a listing before it goes live, because it goes through a lot of different people and looking at all the copy, because the copy is very, very important, because how you present it is how it appears in the internet and all these other sites that people are looking at. Next, we do some direct marketing and direct mail. And this is just two samples of something we've done in the past. The one on the left is a contemporary home, Springmont Circle. And the reason the picture of the house is on this one, and this one has a picture of a horse, is because in the contemporary home, we found that the likely buyer is another person that owns another contemporary home. So what do we do with this direct marketing card? We send it to people that own contemporary houses because they're likely to buy our house. So the beauty of direct mail is that you can target your audience extremely well. For example, this one with the horse was a Chester County horse property, and we felt that the buyer was likely going to have a horse or want a horse, and we figured rather than putting a picture of the house on the card, we would put a picture of the horse, because people like horses better than they like their kids. So we figured that that would really hit home. And what we did find is we did get the buyer who actually got this card from the mailing. So there is a correlation of how we do this, but this is just one of the things we do in the direct marketing. Now we get to something really even more interesting. And this is an actual listing that we have on the market right now. It's virtually available. So what we mean by that is we made a website. We made, I'll stop on so the first piece of it is we made this website. Notice up in here, if you look down here, it says 429 Conestoga Road, okay? So this is 769,000. It's a wonderful listing. It's 4 bedrooms, has a beautiful kitchen and all. But what's critical is the reason there's a website is because it helps with search engine optimization, and it helps this property come to the top of a list, whether that's Google or all these other things. And we do that for something called search engine optimization. So that's one reason we make the website. Another is it's a great place to park a lot of information about this property. So look, here's the front picture, and you can notice how that has a beautiful sun behind it and all. Here's some interior pictures of the home. Hopefully my cursor's not blocking what you're seeing. And then the last one is, look at that, there's a floor plan. We're going to talk about that as well. So this is just another thing we do for every property. We make one of these websites. And the next part of it is we make is the three-dimensional, the 3D. This is a very interesting piece of technology. Remember I said I had a guest that I'm going to be interviewing on Thursday? I have an executive joining our studio who will be talking about these 3D tours, and I'm going to grill him because I am totally fascinated. And this company is our savior right now because remember I said we can't conduct in-person showings? So that last listing you saw in Berwyn, you now can go online and look at it. And I'm going to try to jump in and show you that some sections of it in a second so you can see. But great, there's all kinds of benefits with 3D video. So they grab attention. They're easy to navigate. You can use a computer. You can use an iPhone. You can use your Apple, whatever you have. So this is a little picture, and this is a dollhouse view. I'm kind of circling around it. And notice it has this little blue dot. Hopefully you can see that. I put my cursor on top. And the way these are created and made is what's so amazing. So it does take a lot of time to create one of these. Our CMO, or Chief Matterport Officer, happens to be my wife, Lisa. Shout out for Lisa because she is our shout out of the week for this is working in a, remember we said, how do you sell things virtually right now? Well, here's one of the ways you do it. And why it takes so long to create one of these is, so Lisa would go to the home and she would start in this corner. I'm just putting my little laser pointer down there. She would set down this computer camera on a stand. She would leave the room, kind of like a dentist would when they were taking like an x-ray. They would leave the room. She would control the device. Meanwhile, that device is going to spin around and go up and back and around. It has all kinds of lenses on it, and it's going to capture images of this room. But she's not done yet. Then she comes back into the room and moves this dot from here 2.5 feet to that point. Then she leaves the room, controls the iPad, the computer camera starts doing its thing. She comes back and does it again and keeps going through this entire home all the way through so that when she's done, we send it to this company in California, and they create this amazing experience for us that people love because it's an open house for potential buyers. It's a 24/7 experience. You can go online and look at this home. So what I'd like to show you is you also can use, see down there, and I'm taking out my goggles because I have them as well. I want to show you that in the bottom right-hand corner of the screen, there, you see a picture, and this is kind of what it looks like, but they're these goggles, and see how they have the glass? Hopefully you can see that. You wear them, you insert your phone right here, what I'm doing right in this picture, and you can look at this. This is an immersive experience, and this is unreal if you watch this. Again, does everyone have these goggles? No, But those that do love this technology and want to look at it in a virtual experience. So you're basically immersing yourself inside this home as if you're actually inside of it. It's just an amazing experience. And what I'd like to show you is, oh yeah, of course, it's easy to share with social media and all once we have these. So that's another benefit, is I'm going to try to, I'd like to show you what one looks like. So if you bear with me a second, I'm basically going to the internet right now. And I'm going to go to this, remember I said 429 Conestoga Road? Well, here you go. I am going to show you live what this looks like. Samantha, can everyone see this? Okay, thumbs up. Okay,
Thumbs up.
awesome. So we're live. We're on the internet right now. We're in this property. I just want to show you. See these little circles on the floor? Well, I'm moving you through. I've got to show you this kitchen because it's just an amazing kitchen. I'm kind of zooming in. Look at the granite. Look at the stainless appliances, the refrigerator. Look at all the recessed lighting. Now, look, I can go up to the ceiling. I can go down to the floors. I can show you the hardwood. Oh, I'm going to jump into the dining room and show you the dining room. Look at this dining room. Okay, now I'm going to go back. Wait, what about the family room? I didn't show you that. There's an eating area. We're in the kitchen. So I'm live right now. This is exactly how somebody would experience. Now, you're looking at this in 3D, okay? So we're in the family room right now. Notice the fireplace. It has this beautiful door so you can get outside, and hardwood floors and 6-panel doors, and you're seeing this live. But how nice is this? We can jump from floor to floor. So down in this, see, I'm on the left-hand side of the screen. Hopefully you can see that. I'm now in the dollhouse view, and we're going to jump to we're going to go to floor number 2. Let's look upstairs for a second. And hopefully it will go. I don't know if my internet's a little slow, but oh, there we go. Look at that. We're now in the master bedroom. Look at the crown molding and the beautiful paint colors. And you can see into this house. And I'm going to spin it around a little bit because you got to see, what about the master bathroom? What's that look like? And there it is. Look at this beautiful master bathroom. So what I'm trying to show you is, this is the 3D. I'm on my website right now. That's just one place you could go. Again, there's lots of other places. And you just go into all-inclusive marketing and 3D home tours, and you can go right to that spot. I'm going to go back to the presentation now, hopefully, and tell me, Samantha, if we're good to go. Did it come back up? Oh, love this technology. So we're going to move ahead. And remember I said something about a floor plan? Well, the benefits of that camera, that computer camera, this is a benefit that's beyond my, it's just hard to imagine that this technology is able to do this. So we're now looking at a floor plan of this same property. We're back to, look at that, 429 Conestoga Road. There it is. And remember, we were in the kitchen. I'm going to start, the tour started right here where my little laser is. We kind of went into the breakfast room. I kind of turned you into the kitchen so you could see the granite and the island, the stainless appliances. I went back into the dining room, and then I came back to show you what the family room looked like. And then we went upstairs into the master bedroom. So what this technology has done is it's shooting lasers. So every one of these points that Lisa, our chief Matterport officer, shoots, this camera is shooting a laser point from this wall to this wall. Notice it says master bedroom. It's giving you the room dimensions. So we do not tell this computer anything about the rooms. It knows based on furniture and size. It's figured out every single room name. Notice it has, I didn't show you the laundry room. I didn't show you the other bath. There's some things obviously we didn't get through. But look at that. It's showing you how the doors open. It put the fireplace right here. Look, here's the sink. And it shows you stove. I mean, it's the most amazing thing. What's so great about the floor plan is that if you're a buyer and you're trying to figure out, geez, in this living room, can I get my baby grand piano in the living room? Well, you now can, there's a ruler that can come up. It can virtually measure. If we want to get a distance from this point right here to this point, it can do that. So tons of benefits. It's helpful if someone wants to see floor plan, or maybe they're thinking of taking out this wall and they want to open the house up, or whatever they want to do. This technology is great. So the next thing we do, and again, we're back to active marketing, is the internet presence. And that's where we talk about all the various websites. And again, this certainly is not all the ones that our listings are on, but because we didn't have enough space to list everything. But these are some of the larger ones. So right here, we have realtor.com. That's visited by 86% of all home buyers in the United States. Because I think, Samantha, you said we had someone from Canada, I think. I don't know if they're on, but again, every market's a little different. But what we found is that, these are all great sites. So here's Zillow. We have Google, the Philadelphia Inquirer is in there, RealBird, all YouTube. These are not all the sites. We just know that it's important to be on every site. So we're just showing you some of the sites we're on, and all our listings go to Redfin and Zillow and other real estate broker sites, because we send them to everyone because we want to share it and try to get as many views as possible. That's the goal. So here we talk about some of the social platforms. I don't know if, Samantha, you want to jump in, or?
I just always like to mention that
Okay.
it would be great if everyone stayed connected with us and liked, followed, and watched us on all the different social media platforms, because you post a lot of market updates, and we do a lot of fun contests and great giveaways throughout the year. And I think it's a nice way to stay in touch, especially during these times when we're all home, and it's nice to see what's happening, what's going on.
And something else, if you ever wanted to try, and I'll just challenge you, we're really into the search engine optimization and trying to figure out how to make our properties come to top of list. We do the same thing with our real estate group. So if you ever wanted to Google me, try it and see, and type my name in and tell me if it worked. I'd be curious, because people are all over the country and in different locations. I'd just be curious to know how high I come up in the rankings. So next, we're taking you further into the process.
I forgot one thing, Brett. I will send everyone a link to your different social platforms.
Okay. Okay. And something else, Samantha, I don't even know if I formally introduced Samantha, but I think I should. So Samantha is like kind of like my right arm, if you will. She does so much for the office, so much for the real estate team, so much for me personally. I am so grateful, number one, to have Samantha. More grateful to have her on this call, because she's been helping me. We switched when we couldn't do these workshops in person. We've gone to webinar formats, and she has done an amazing job helping me with all the marketing materials and the presentations and the Zoom meetings that we have multiple times a day. So thank you, Samantha, and thanks for joining the call.
You're welcome. I'm lucky to work for such a great guy. I appreciate it.
So this is kind of cool. This is something, it's the automated appointment service. And again, remember I said, like, right now, because the governor's orders, we can't have in-person showings, but this is how we had been doing things. But right now, notice this little button right here. It allows virtual only appointments, so we can keep track of who's virtually looking at things. Through this service, we know how many people are watching our videos, how many people are watching our tours and all. But the way this service works is it's a 24-hour, 7-day-a-week program, and it allows the home seller who has their property for sale to generate agents from other companies in to look at their property. So the way it would work is if you worked for ABC Realty and you wanted to show one of our listings, you would be authorized through this company called Showing Time. They would have your security clearance and credentials and everything. And once you're authorized, you'd be able to schedule showings 24 hours of the day, 7 days a week. Except we're not going to call our home seller at 2 o'clock in the morning if an agent happens to be making an appointment at that time. But it is possible that that could happen. meaning somebody could theoretically make appointments in the evening. We just have the scheduling service is programmed so that it would call our home seller 8 o'clock or 9 o'clock in the morning to confirm that appointment. Great service. The other wonderful benefit is you can get actual feedback. So our home sellers get live feedback. We don't edit it. Whatever they say, we forward it to our home sellers so that they know what are other agents and what are buyers saying about their home. Some things we can correct, other things we probably can't, but it's very, very good to have that feedback. And the other thing that's great about it is we take all that feedback and we kind of throw it into a program, and it produces some graphical representations, because some of our clients like to see graphics. They like to know what's going on. So this is just one way we can do that, and we can see what are people saying about the property after they visit. So here is a listing or a property we had on the market, and it says 6% of the people said they were, is your client interested in this listing? 6% said yes. 38% purple, not great. That's not interested. So we watch these pies and try to figure out, we have figured out what the right ratio is. And when that ratio gets out of sequence or kilter, there's certain things we can adjust. So it might be about condition. Maybe the picture was taken when there was snow on the ground and we need to change the picture, or other things we look at. Is it condition? Is it price? You know, we look at all these to try to figure out how we can pivot or adjust so that the listing is presented properly. And then finally, in today's presentation, I'm going to talk to you about some questions that are good to ask if you're thinking about hiring a real estate company. So the questions are in white, the answers are in gold, and there's 5 of them. Again, if we had more time today, I have lists of questions that I've given to consumers, but because we're limited, I'm only going to talk about, let's see how we're doing on time. Great. I'm only going to talk about the 5 most important ones, I thought. The first one, great question to ask if you're thinking about hiring another real estate company, would be, how long have you been marketing real estate? That's an important question, right? Like, would you want someone that started yesterday or a week or a month? I mean, they're selling your largest asset probably that you own. So we believe it's important to pick someone full-time and that's been doing it a long time. My answer is down below. Remember, I think Samantha, maybe you did say when I started, which I think there was electricity back then. I'm not sure. It was a long time ago. I just know it's been many, many years. The next question is, am I locked into a contract with you? If so, for how long? And remember, we talked a little earlier in the presentation. I said that we work on an easy exit basis. So if you're unhappy, you can be released with 2 weeks advance written notice. And then the next question that I think is very relative is, what is your average sale price to list price? And that means, how close do you get when you put the property on the market for sale and you ask a certain price? How close are you at selling it to that price? And my stats, the last time we checked, we were running at 98% compared to people in the marketplace. They were running at 90%. So that's something we believe is important to look at. Question number 4, what is your average number of days on the market? And right now, or actually this is pre-pandemic, we haven't done anything before, we're running at 37 days. Do I think that's going to go longer? I do. I think as more inventory comes on the market and the shadow inventory comes on, and all the people that are hunkering down at home that get unhappy at their spouse are going to file for divorce, and you're going to see there's lots of factors that are going to mean more inventory come on. So I think that's going to grow. Other agents, when I last looked at this, they were running at 94 days. And finally, question number 5, do you recommend a pre-sale home inspection? And if you remember early in the presentation, I said, yes, and I believe you can save thousands of dollars if you do the pre-sale home inspection. And I thought this is a good kind of review for you as to what we've covered today. I'm just going to kind of touch on these points kind of briefly. So, and then again, if you have questions, remember, and I don't know, Samantha, if anybody has brought any up, but we're going to stop. Just there are a few. Okay, so we have a few coming in. Great. Love questions. Try not to make them too hard, but I'll take the hard ones too. It's okay.
I'll take one of them. You can have the rest.
Yeah.
No.
Okay.
We'll do them at the end.
Okay. So some of the things we talked about today, and just again, it's a highlight, or we talked about the 3D dimensional tour. Remember I showed you that of that beautiful place in Berwyn? I showed you that one. Then we talked about the virtual reality, which is the goggles of, you could look at the home and you could put these on and you could have an immersive experience. Then we talked about the floor plan, okay? And that was very important, especially in the COVID-19 age, and people want to know, what do the rooms look like and can my furniture fit and all? And then we jumped into the still image photography. Remember we showed you a picture that had some sun behind it and the lights were illuminated. Then we talked about the drone, the aerial, getting up above the property, how important. We talked about the easy exit listing because that is important, so you're not locked into an agreement if you're unhappy. And I had to go to my next screen so you can see the other items that we touched on. Was, remember we showed you a single property website. It happened to be the one in Berwyn. And again, you can go online if you want to really look at it and study it and understand what it can do. It's great because you can forward information to other people. So say your spouse needs to see the floor plan, or you want to send pictures or share the video or whatever you need to do, it has that capability. Then we talked about some targeted direct marketing. Showed you a picture of a horse, and the answer is, what's your horse? That's really what it's all about. We try to figure that out and try to capture that as best as we can. And then we talked about social media and trying to like us, and you can go on and see all our things on our social media platforms. We're in all of them, so feel free to like us and share us and friend us. And then finally, we talked early on about the concierge. If you needed help with getting your home ready, remember we have lifetime access to it. And these last two things we didn't touch on in depth, but I'd like to spend a little time with this one. And that is, for all homes that we sell, one of the first things we look at is absorption. And that's an analytical to figure out how long it will take the market to absorb the inventory. And we look it's laser focused, right? We try to look at a particular neighborhood, maybe it's by school district, and then we cap prices to figure out where we think it's going to fall. And that tells us how long we think it's going to take for the market to sell the inventory. And that's relative because that's what helps us set pricing. Because if we don't know what absorption is, you can't figure out what price to place on the house. So if it's a low absorption number, that means you can stretch the price and try to get a higher price. If it's taking 300 days or almost a year to sell the inventory, well, then that's a different conversation. And what we know about absorption is that whether you're in Pennsylvania or Florida or wherever people are on the call today, each area is different. And if you're an economic forecasting company, everybody looks at absorption. So one of the analytics that people would always look at is what is the health of the housing market? And what they would look at is how many days it's taking to absorb. And what I said before the pre-pandemic, absorption numbers were very, very low, extremely low. And that hasn't changed. In fact, absorption might have gotten lower because as people pull things off the market, now you have all the shadow inventory that's off the market but ready to come back on. And that's the number that's most important. You really, really got to look at that and focus on that. And finally, we started something a little while ago for properties that were historic in nature. So we have an historic researcher on board who loves to search the deeds and records. And we've had 3 properties that have gone through this process where Sarah, our historic home researcher, has gone to try to trace the property back to William Penn, and I think she's done it in every time. And she goes back and look at old deeds, and then she goes in the historic registries and she visits the historical home societies and tries to get as much information as possible. Again, this really applies if your home is in that historic home category to get the benefit of that, because it doesn't, only if applicable. And now we're going to go to question and answers. And Samantha, if you want to, because I'm not looking at the, I'm focused on the screen. If you want to tell me questions, I'll be happy to answer.
All right. So this one just came in, and I'll start there, and then I was saving the rest.
Okay.
If I were to sell my home and buy another one during this coronavirus era, how will I even be able to engage all the contractors I'll need, such as movers, carpenters, painters, cleaners, electricians, plumbers, flooring and window guys? Aren't most of those companies closed down right now? How would I be able to explain what I want and oversee their work during the social distancing?
That's a really, really good question. And what we're experiencing out there is you have to look at what the governor's order says. And I'll give you a perfect example. So we have one in process right now. It's a property in Gladwin, and it has a septic system, and the septic system needs to be replaced, and it also has mold. Well, each of those contractors, we've been okay. We had to get permission from the township. So the township has, the county board of health is coming in because we have to do an absorption test. So it's all permissible, but some things are not considered permissible. And the real question is, are the contractors coming out, and are you comfortable? That's really what it's all about. Are you comfortable having the contractor come to your home during this time, or would you rather wait? So I think it's really on a case-by-case basis, because, and then there's contractors that probably are not supposed to be doing things. Like there's one that advertises all over TV. I'm not going to say any names, but you know, they can tune up your air conditioner now. I'm thinking, well, how is that necessary? You know, I can understand if your toilet was backing up, but this company offers like wide range of services, so they're permitted to do all kinds of things. So the governor allows that. So I think it's really case by case and how comfortable you are bringing someone in right now.
Okay. That was it. There were a lot of angles to that question. So
Yes.
if
Sorry, it's a hard one.
I didn't do a good job answering that, please email us, and we can, or give us a call and we can elaborate some more. But that was a good one. We'll start with the hardest. Hopefully that was the hard one for us.
Okay.
Somebody asked, do you only do home sellers workshops? And I thought I could tell everyone that I'm excited to announce that we are actually working on the home buyer workshop, and Brett's partner, our another realtor on the team, Dave Rantanen, is going to host a home buyers workshop soon. We don't have a date or anything scheduled yet because we're in the finishing stages of that presentation, but that was a really great question because no one has ever asked that one before.
Thanks for the question, though. I love the questions.
Somebody wants to know, what do all of these services cost?
Okay, so are we assuming we're talking about the marketing stuff? I'm assuming. Okay, so the answer to that, and it's funny, I get that question, I would say almost every single one of these workshops. In 2019, I did 20 of these presentations in person, you know, live at various facilities, libraries and YMCAs and retirement centers, and That question is a great question. I don't charge any extra. The team made a decision a bunch of years ago that we were going to be a full service red carpet company. And what I mean by that is we were going to offer all these services like the drones and the Matterports, the 3D and the virtual reality and the single property websites and the photographer and everything we do. And we weren't going to charge any extra for it. In fact, we were going to include it as part of our marketing. And the reason we do that is because we believe in all these things that help sell properties quicker and faster. So for our seller clients, they get a definite benefit because if we don't do, like, let's take an example. If we didn't do the 3D tour right now, we would be out of business. We couldn't sell our inventory right now. So why wouldn't we offer that? But interesting statistics, and if you want to join the call on Thursday with Matterport, we did just do some statistics, and we've looked at how many properties in the 5-county area. We looked at all price ranges. We found that about 68% of all homes on the market don't have a video, don't have a 3D, a visual tour. And then I'm thinking, well, wait, if the governor made it so you can't do in-person showings, how are they going to sell these properties? So that's really what this is all about. And that's why we opted years ago. We said, we're just going to include everything. We're doing it for every home. And it can be from as small as our 1-bedroom condo, which if you want to go to the website, you can look at that 1-bedroom condo, which, by the way, that 1-bedroom condo was just sold this week. It actually sold twice. So during Corona, in the beginning stage, we had a buyer who made an offer and unfortunately lost their job, right? Because unemployment, someone who was in the food services industry, they lost their job. And then we put it back on the market. And what day, Samantha? Was it on Tuesday? My days are, when did we get our offer? Tuesday?
I think so. It was Tuesday.
So Tuesday, we got another offer. So this is a virtual offer. It's contingent upon all the time frames are tied to when the governor will allow an agent to show the property and when they can get inside. But that property is now under contract all through what we do, which is all included in our marketing. That's our program.
There's another question that says, so you're saying that you're the only real estate firm who offers all these services and they're all included at no extra charge?
Yes, great question. I love your question, by the way, so thank you. Yes, there was a slide a little earlier that did say that we, as far as I know, we are the only firm that offers these and doesn't charge anything. There are companies, just so you know, that have piecemeal programs where, maybe they'll send in a professional photographer or whatever. But as far as I know, we're the only one to do everything we do and don't charge any extra for it. Great question, though. I love it.
It is. And I know we mentioned this before. This is a hot topic. I feel like, most sellers pay a 6% commission and 3% goes to Brett as the listing agent and the other 3% goes to the buying agent. But that's really the only expense incurred other than the home improvements, which leads to someone wants to know, what is the most important home improvement?
Okay, I apologize because that was one of our things. So most important right now is going to be on the outside of the home. So we looked at all kinds of statistics. We figured out where you get your return on investment. We follow those companies that publish guides and tell us what percent return on your investment. And right now it's the outside of the home. So it's first impressions. It's when you pull up at the curb, you park the car and you look at the home and you walk down the driveway or across the path and you're going to the front door. What's the path like? Is it overgrown? Is the landscaping forcing you to form a single single line? Is it wide and open? And when you get to the front door, are there flowers at the front door? Is the door painted? Is it clean? A recent study I read said that if you replace your front door, you get 101% return on your investment. And yet, if you go inside and replace your kitchen or bathrooms, it was maybe 55 cents on the dollar. So as you can see that you get your highest return from things on the outside. Now, as you go inside the home, so now we're talking outside, we're at the landscaping, we're at the front door, we're flowers, all that's critical. Now going inside the home, returns on investment start to decrease. But what gives you a really big increase is painting, because that's inexpensive. Some light staging. We look at flow and circulation, such as the dining room. If the dining room table's open really wide, we might want the leaves to come out of the table and shrunken down so you can circulate and navigate around the room. We look at that. Those are the kinds of things. We're not real big on telling people to go out and replace your kitchen or your bathroom. What we might do is look at the kitchen. Maybe if the cabinets were older cabinets, maybe we paint them. Maybe we look at a strategy of, can we paint these cabinets? Can we change the pull and the hardware to give them the look of 2020? Maybe it's changing the countertops, because maybe the countertops are Formica or an unattractive color. We might look at doing countertops, but we're very careful on investing dollars if we don't get a high return on investment. So we look at that on a case-by-case basis. And what we said earlier about starting the process a year in advance or 6 months in advance, that's one of the reasons, so we could look at it and tell you what things make sense to do and where you're going to get your return on investment.
There's one more, unless more.
I like your questions, by the way. So if you still keep them coming, and even if it's after the talk and you want to email or message us, call, or that's fine.
Is it possible to list in less than 1 year?
Oh, that's a great question.
Yeah.
Yes, it is possible to have your home ready in less than a year. The minimum I would say is we need a couple weeks, because we're building a website. We're building a virtual reality. We're building a 3D tour. We have a photographer that comes through, and once those pictures come back and the photographer might adjust them, we have another screen or a process we follow on our pictures that we might have to, if it's an interior shot, I'm just picking an example, we artificially light the fireplace. So we want a fire in the fireplace. It's very hard to capture it when the fireplace is lit, with logs and flames and all. Same with TV sets. We like to put certain images on. If you happen to have a flat panel TV in one of your rooms, we'll probably put a really nice picture on it. So those kinds of things take time. The year or the 6 month in advance is really for you to help with orchestration of the home and getting the staging done. And what do you do with all the stuff, meaning the furniture and the figuring out where you're going. So we also have someone on the team that this is a new person that came on board that helps our clients with the right sizing process. So one of the things they can do is they can look at the property you're moving to, if it's a 55 plus community or it's just a townhouse or another house, and figure out what things you could take from your current house and what things you don't need from your current house. And then we figure out what to do with all your stuff. Does it go to the resale shop? Do we have a tag sale? Does it go to auction? Do the kids get it? That's always the first step, is trying to give everything we can to the kids. The problem with that is the kids today, the millennials, if you happen to have millennials, which I have millennials, they don't want the stuff that I have. So I call that the brown wood. So the dark woods are a challenge to source and figure out what to do with them. But that's why it takes a lot of time. Can we do it quicker? Sure, we could, but to get the benefit of everything, the more time you give and provide, I think you're going to get a better result. And that's a long answer to a short question, but I hope that helps you. If it didn't, let us know. How are we doing, Samantha? Anyone else?
That was the last question. So
Okay. Oh, I got to give one more thing. So those on the call
Mhm.
that state you have everybody right now, Samantha. Okay, so here is the book. This is a bonus for anyone on the call. This is a book I wrote. It's you can buy it. It's on Amazon. It's $14.95. Today, we're going to be able to send you a copy of it. So Samantha will be forwarding a copy of the book. It's everything you really need to know about selling your home. And that's something you're going to get. Other things is remember about the concierge. So if you need help with, and even if you're not moving, let's assume you're staying in your house for the next 20 years and you need, this is the one. I got a request last night, Samantha, and I didn't even brief you on this. Someone wanted someone to repair, downspouts, it was downspouts. So last night at about, I don't know, it came in about 10:20, maybe it was 10 o'clock. I was sending that person, and this is someone who we've sold a house for them in the past, who is living in a property that needed help. And I sent them someone that specializes in gutters and downspouts. So, keep in mind, if you need anyone, even in the COVID environment, we have people, just tell us what you need. Other reminders are, if you want to hear my state of the market address, it's on YouTube. It really deep dives into some predictions as to where we are currently and what I think is going to happen. Because today this was more about the home selling, this webinar, but you're welcome to listen to it. It's about, Samantha, it's about an hour.
just under an hour. Yep.
Just under an hour. So that's available. And then on Thursday, watch your email and social and everything. I have a guest joining from Matterport, which is my savior right now. So I'm very enamored with that technology, as you can see. And hopefully that'll occur on Thursday. I think, Samantha, do we get a time of?
I think it's 12. For some reason, I think it's 12.
West Coast. Yeah, it's 12 because they're a West Coast company. They're based in California. So I think we're going to be speaking at our time, Eastern time, 12 o'clock.
Yep. And Brett, I just did want to mention, when I send everyone the link to the ebook, I'm giving I'm also including a survey that I would really appreciate everyone's completion of, because we use it for so many purposes, like for feedback and things that went well, didn't go so well. We love constructive criticism and appreciate your honesty. Our feelings will not get hurt. So if you could fill it out, that would be great.
That would be awesome. And anything we missed, did we miss anything? Oh, did I need to go to another? Oh, sorry. I missed my thank you, which is my last screen. Reminder about survey. Thank you. Oh, Samantha, you are really on top of your game. You're like one slide ahead of me always. That's so great.
Sorry.
So that was Samantha. And then again, those on the call that stayed on, and I think we have a lot of people. So we'll be sending you the book, which is right here. I'm actually working on a new version of it, but that's going to be forthcoming because so much stuff has changed so quickly. And that's pretty much it.
That's a wrap.
Thank you, everyone. And Samantha, as always, I'm grateful. And thanks for listening. Thanks for liking, sharing us. If you have questions, just hopefully our contact information's here. Feel free to reach out.